Is your teenager coming to you saying she's sad or emotional for no reason? Tearing up and saying she doesn't belong even though you know she has friends? Getting headaches and stomach aches? You could say to her, "You shouldn't feel that way. You have lots of friends, and you know I love you so much. Why don't we go get some ice cream?" Or you could say to her, "Oh, it's just hormones. You'll feel better when you have a good night's sleep." Just kidding. Do not say those things. Those things are about making you feel better by making the powerlessness you feel go away. Instead, lean in, soften your voice, and open yourself up to hearing your child. Just say, "Tell me more," and listen. The most talking is to reflect what they say, so repeat it back to them, and empathize. "That sounds like you're so sad and you're really feeling alone." Otherwise, silence. "This is what I want you to know, and this is what will be explained in therapy, parents. Yes, your child technically has symptoms of depression, but likely she's been engaging in some thinking habits since she was old enough to even perceive herself in the world. And those thinking habits have more to do with anxiety than depression. Anxious brain conditioning leads to depression symptoms. What is an anxious brain? Well, it's something you're born with, and it's a hypervigilant neurology. That means it's perceptive and notices everything. And a rigid neurology. That means she puts everything in a category of acceptable, not acceptable, good or bad. When these kids experience regular uncertainties, powerlessness, helplessness, those regular feelings of life, this stuff feels unpleasant, like it does to everyone. But because these kids are rigid, these things are experienced as bad, and their brains go, get rid of it right away. These are the preschoolers who, when they're struggling to put the cap back on the marker, they feel powerlessness and helplessness. And that whole bad feeling gets jumbled up and personalized. So in a split second, they're bursting out with, "I hate myself." And if you ask them, the "I hate myself" is the same as "I feel powerless right now." They're the kids who are super, super frustrated if they can't get the hang of swinging the bat right. And they're the kids who are almost obsessively fixated on conquering stuff that doesn't really matter, because in their mind, if I can get this bat swing right, or if I can get this A on the test, that means I am good. They conflate icky feelings with "I am bad." And so they frantically avoid helplessness and powerlessness and uncertainty. And they start to avoid that so much and so often that they start to live in a fishbowl. Sometime around 8 or 9 years old, whenever they can cognitively pull it off, being naturally present with all its uncertainty and emotional fluctuations is a thing of the past. Instead of being present, they become managers and analyzers and categorizers. Their sole focus is to avoid being confronted with the feeling of being bad, or more specifically, being powerless, helpless, uncertain. From inside the fishbowl, they are ruminators, fixated on, did I do that well? Did that person like me? If I say it this way, if I do it this way, will I be good? Oh, that was good. That was bad. They're categorizers too, and they become managers and maskers. They are managing their thoughts, engaging in them to avoid feeling powerless, but also expertly managing the world around them. If they're sophisticated at this, they're super charming too, and they might be super popular and well-liked, always a smile on their face. But again, inside the fishbowl, not present, only analyzing, managing, and categorizing. After years of this brain training, they condition themselves to always be on alert and never just in the moment, and they lose connection with themselves and other people. I told this to a kid in therapy recently. I explained all this and a little more. I told him that this is a thing, and to just notice the fishbowl, the analyzing and the managing, and say, "Thank you, brain, for trying to keep me comfortable. But I got this. I can feel uncertainty and risk the feeling of I am bad for a minute." You can take a seat, brain, from your analyzing and managing. We talked about all the signs that he was in the fishbowl, from where his mind was to how his body felt, the contexts where it was common. I told him to be encouraging to himself, to label the feeling, and to give himself a confident pep talk. I had him role play with me until he said, "No more, I got it. And then on our next session, I asked him how it went with the exercises we practiced. And you know what he said? He said, "I didn't have to practice it because just talking about it helped." Let this be the lesson. For rigid brains who are well conditioned to reactively avoid a deep fear of I am bad. There is one thing they need to hear like water in the desert, and that is, I see you, I understand you deeply, and that sounds rotten and hard and scary. I totally get all of that. And it's okay. You're not bad.